Welcome to week 7. We have an opportunity to go over 3 Nephi chapter 12 through 17. Now these chapters are remarkable in that some of them, chapters 12 through 14, are very familiar to us. As we look at Matthew chapter 5 through 7, we understand that we will begin by reading the Sermon on the Mount. And that particular sermon that the Savior gave to the Jews in Jerusalem is similar to what he is giving to the Nephites. You might ask, well, why is this included when it was also included in the Bible? The reason why is because there are differences, some very subtle but very important differences that the Savior makes, differences that are important for us to understand. It also becomes a second witness of just how important this particular sermon is. Certainly Christianity has based many of their principles on the Sermon on the Mount. And as we look at what the Savior is teaching here to the Nephites, these differences, these subtle differences, are very important for us to pick up. Now tomorrow I will post on our announcement page just a Word document that shows a summary of some of these differences. But let me just give you one example as we look at just one difference. Now in chapter 12, verse 13, we hear the Savior say, Verily I say unto you, I give unto you to be the salt of the earth. Now, how it says in the New Testament is, ye are the salt of the earth. What it sounds like in the New Testament is that to be the salt of the earth is an entitlement, something that we are given as disciples of Christ. Whereas in the Book of Mormon, we learn that it is something that we have to earn. It's a responsibility, something that we have to work at. He says, I give unto you to be the salt of the earth. We have to work at it. And so that subtle difference, I think, is important. There are several other differences, one of them being at the end of chapter 12, where the Savior says, Verily I say unto you, therefore, to be therefore perfect, even as I, or your Father in heaven, is perfect. Whereas in the New Testament, it just says, be therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. The Savior has completed his ministry. He's now able to speak as one with complete authority. We can follow him in every way. So there are some very subtle and important differences to pick up as we read these 3 chapters. As we move on into chapter 15, we find that the Savior now is declaring unto us that he is indeed the light and life of the world, that the law of Moses is fulfilled in him, every whit. And this is an important thing as we understand just how the Savior is the law. He is the light. The Nephites, unlike the Jews, understood that. And so when he came to them, it was very clear to them how this transformation was to be made. Now in chapter 16, one of the things that's interesting here as we learn how Jesus will visit not just the Jews and the Nephites, but the other lost tribes of the house of Israel. I wish we knew about them. I wish we knew about their prophets. We will someday. But at this point, all we know is that he went to them. In chapter 17 to me is a real gem, because chapter 17 is where we feel the human side of the Savior. First off, he completes his discussion with them, and then he tells them to go home and ponder, which is kind of the process of revelation. He gives us something, determines whether or not we're interested in learning more, and then if we are, more revelation follows. The Nephites demonstrated that they wanted more. All night they prepared for the Savior's return the next day. As a result, he was able to give them much more, and was able to have not only compassion on their sick and their afflicted, on their children. We will see him weep in this chapter. We will see angels come and minister to those. We will see the great things, the great love that he has for each one of us. And as we read chapter 17, project yourself in there, because his love for you is just the same as it is for the Nephites. A great chapter. Well, I hope you have a wonderful time as you read these chapters. Certainly let me know as you have insights, and I will greatly look forward to the discussion board posts and the things that we will be able to share as we go over these chapters. Again, have a good week.